All right, welcome everybody. The Mountain Podcast, episode 2, with my brother, colleague, and probably gonna be best friends with this man forever. Jeremy Blough. We got a lot of names for him. I call him Jay Blizzle, Jay Bleezy, Jay Blowatron. I mean, whatever you want to call him, you can call him as long as it's respectful. But Jeremy, welcome onto the podcast. How was your weekend so far? Do anything?
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. I'm fired up for this. It's cool. Cool to see what you're doing. Weekend was good. Yeah, weekend was good. It was my buddy John Roach's birthday party
Nice.
last night. I think he just turned 34, and he had a cowboy theme birthday party. So everybody was there last night. It was fun. Yeah, it was dope. Seen a bunch of good people. But weekend's been good, man. We got House of the Dragon going on tonight, Game of Thrones. So we're locked in. It's a good Sunday.
Love that. I'm about to go to my grandma's and get some enchiladas a little bit later. So looking forward to that. So
I just need a plate. I just
and
need
where
one.
are you taking the call from right now?
You said what? Oh, I'm at home. I'm at home at my parents' house right now. I'm in San Diego. I'm born and raised in San Diego. This is like my childhood home right now. So I'm here in the childhood house, living room in there, backyard pool, grill.
Nice.
Yeah. This is born and raised. So yeah, I'm born and raised in San Diego, kind of like close to San Diego State area. And now I live over in Bay Park. I got a roommate, but I like coming out to my family's house every weekend. So get some family time, hang out. Sundays are like family day for me. So I'm here every Sunday.
Yeah, that's definitely important. That's definitely important. And what's like your personal background? What did you grow up doing in San Diego? How did we even come to meet and become friends as well? Like give us your version of that.
Yeah. So born and raised in San Diego, local kid. I went to high school like right up the street from here. I went to Patrick Henry High. I grew up playing some sports, played sports in high school. And then yeah, I feel like I went to school. I went to community college locally out here in San Diego. I was supposed to go to Sonoma State after I graduated high school, but I didn't want to pay for school. I didn't want to like take out loans or anything. So I just went locally to community and ended up deciding that college was not for me. After I went for like a year and some change, and then I stopped. I was selling Cutco, which is how we met. I started selling Cutco back in 2017, and sold Cutco, and I was doing well enough. Didn't like school. Felt like it wasn't really in alignment with me, so I didn't like it. So I stopped and decided to just stick around with Cutco. Man, I met you in 2017, the OG CLP. And yeah, that's a little bit about me. My family. I'm first generation here. My mom is from Central America. My mom's from Salvador. My dad's from Baltimore. So I get both sides. And so I'm half Hispanic, and I get to see my family all the time. I'm a family guy for sure. Got my abuelita here at the crib too, which is good.
Nice.
And but yeah, always with family, hanging out with friends, and doing my thing, working.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, we did meet in 2017. How old were you when you first started Cutco?
I was 18. I was like fresh out of high school.
Fresh out of high school, pretty much.
Yeah, I'm coming up on my 7-year anniversary. For my Cutco anniversary is August 4th. When I started selling blades. So
yeah,
August 4th. Yeah, and I heard about the job through RJ. Remember RJ?
Yeah, dude, RJ Ruckle.
Yeah, RJ Ruckle. Shout out.
Yeah.
Shout out RJ.
RJ for getting Jeremy where he is now. So now you're 7 years in the business, going on your 8th. And from my recollection, the journey has been, you start off as just a sales rep, calling leads, doing the presentation, selling knives, getting referrals, and rinse and repeat, and earning some good money as a 18, 19, 20-year-old. And then getting promoted to an assistant manager for a short time. Then you got promoted to the branch manager position. And can you just speak on that a little bit, what that experience was like for you?
Yeah, I really loved selling. This was my first time ever doing a job like this. My only work experience before selling Cutco was like restaurant industry. Like my grandparents owned like a bar and grill in South Lake Tahoe called Sam's Place. So yeah, Sam's Place. And so I worked there when I was a kid, like washing dishes, and I started cooking and making pizzas and stuff like that. And then when I turned 16, I started working at Felipe's Pizza Grotto. That was my first like official job. So I did that, worked there for a couple years. Then I was also like making smoothies at a smoothie shop, San Diego Blenders. And so I've never had any like sales experience. The closest thing would have been like just taking takeout calls at Felipe's for people coming to pick up their pizza. But it was fun. It was fun. I like working with people. I consider myself to be an extrovert, and I'm a hard worker. So they just kind of fit, and I'm super coachable. So I just did literally everything that my manager told me to do, and ended up working out. So my when you start the job, you have a fast start contest. So I sold about like $8,500 my fast start my first 10 days, and I got my first paycheck, and I quit my other jobs, and I quit my other jobs and decided to stick around. And I was going in my first semester of college. I was declared sociology major. I ended up changing to communication when I was still going to school, but I was paying for my classes, which is why I like stayed at community. I didn't want to go to Sonoma because I didn't want to pay for that tuition. So especially for general eds and stuff, So I sold about like 20 grand my first semester. I was taking 18 units my first semester, and I sold 20 grand. And I was going for the scholarship, like the All-American scholarship, which typically takes about 20 grand, but actually like fell just short of 20 grand. It sold like 18.5, I think, 18.5. But I ended up winning the scholarship, or like I was top 25. So I was the 22nd student rep in the company that fall, which was dope. And when I won, that's like where I decided like I'm gonna stick around for a little bit longer because that was pretty cool to do. And after I won the scholarship, I stuck around. I was working with my division manager, Evan Keller, and who's the GOAT. Shout out Evan.
Yep, Evan's awesome. Evan's
Yeah,
awesome.
Evan's the GOAT. And then I was an assistant manager. So I interviewed with Evan to be an AM. And I thought that was cool too, because my friend RJ was going to be an AM. It was cool because I was also working with RJ. So like him and I
Yep.
were competing
Yep.
week to week, which I thought was dope. We played football. I wasn't like a big athlete, like I played football my senior year, like that was the only year I played football. And so I wasn't like a, diehard athlete, but RJ was. So like RJ and I were both strong safeties. So I was like second string. So RJ was a beast, and he was beating me in Cutco too. So I was like pretty pissed about it, So, but I like ended up catching up to RJ, and it was just fun, like having that friendly, competitive environment. I became part of the TLA, the Leadership Academy, and like I prepped to be a branch manager. And so I started in August, then like that fall, and then that spring, I was like prepping to run a branch, which running a branch is like you're like given a territory, like you earn a territory where there's no Cutco office, and like you build a Cutco office from scratch, and like you're in charge of like all the recruiting and training and developing of your team in the area, and like you raise capital, you raise money, to do that, to get your office, your furniture, you run ads, you advertise, like the whole thing. It's like you're doing all of it. And I was 18, and I've never moved out of home before. Uh, and never been out of home before. And I was the branch manager in Chino,
Mm.
which is like an hour 45 away from home. So like wasn't like super far, but like I had to go. It was far enough to like get a place to live and stuff. So I moved out, and that was it was challenging. it was a it
That's
was
a
a challenge.
that's a leap of faith right there.
Yeah,
Because you have no idea how you're going to do. Like you can't control how many people are going to walk in the door, how your skills are as an 18-year-old managing people that are interviewing for your position that are anywhere from 17 years old to 70 years old and
yeah,
all in between, all different personalities, walks of life. And you're like, I'm 18,
yeah,
the first
man. Like
leadership role ever. Like,
it's so funny because like I remember I got my office, and I was doing like carpet angels and shit. I was doing carpet angels. I was fired up, and I remember actually I have a video on my phone somewhere of me like just overly confident like 18-year-old kid. And I was walking to my office, it's carpet angels, and I took a video. I'm like, this is gonna be the $1 million office this summer, you know? And I was like, just kidding. 150. Like I'll never forget that video. It was like 150, like $150,000 in new
yeah,
business, and like no respect for the number. Like I was like, like I'll smash 150, like no problem. And I haven't even been here for a year. I haven't been here for a year.
been an
And
AM for just like a few months.
yeah, I was an AM for a little bit, and then I just went straight branch. And I promptly sold $30,000.
Um,
And then I sold 15 of that.
You sold
So
15 of that yourself.
I sold 15 of it myself. I think I launched maybe like fucking 8 people, like like 8, 10 people, something like that.
Yeah.
But
So
I mean, like
like
I had,
8K or like 2K each, something like that.
yeah, something like it was not good. I wonder actually like what like taking zero sellers out of it, like zero branches. I wonder if I would go down as like one of the worst branches in the history. I would love, I would,
My
I would
branch,
love to
my branch
actually
is
see
quite up there. My branch
that.
is quite up there too, dog.
But
It's
what's great is that I beat RJ. And RJ, if you're watching this, like I did beat you,
yep, yep.
because he went out in El Centro, which I thought that was like a pretty cool thing too. So like we were like he's obviously still one of my good buddies. Um, and it was we were doing the same thing, just like total different territories. He was in El Centro, like deep East County, and I was up north in like Chino. And even though we only did 30, we still beat him. So
Yeah.
RJ, man, shout
Eat
out
it,
RJ.
RJ. No, I love you, RJ. But
That was
what were
challenging.
like the biggest challenges of that summer? It's summer of 2018. You're this new rep, you're way in over your head, going into a branch. I mean, this is probably one of the best things you ever could have done for your life. But obviously, you had these high goals, high aspirations, and at the same time, you kind of didn't really know what you were doing and what to expect. Like, what were the biggest
Yeah.
big challenges? Because that's kind of the overall theme of this podcast is like, what is that climb like to where you're at now? And that sounds like it was a big challenge.
Yeah, for sure. I think some of the biggest things that I learned is just and one of my biggest challenges is like my relationship with ownership, you know.
Mm.
Um and the results that I got, like I had plenty of time to like seriously prep to be branched. I thought I was prepping the right way. Like I don't think I knew what it was actually going to take. And that level of ownership is like I feel like it's challenging to actually have a healthy relationship that level of ownership as an 18-year-old. Um, and I feel like my relationship of ownership has like changed a lot, because I'm like it could be a scary thing having that level of ownership. I shed a lot of tears that summer,
Yeah.
just like stressing out and like trying to pay rent and getting food and like living on my own. And if I was pumped with my paycheck, like I was able to celebrate it. And if I wasn't pumped with my paycheck, like I earned that shitty paycheck. So like how you navigate both sides of that coin, I think is like a good challenge to like learn how to navigate as an 18-year-old. So like that was probably like my biggest one. And I remember like having running training, dude, like running training, and there's two people in this room, and there was like 30 empty chairs in this fucking room. And there was like a couple people in the room. I'm like, fuck, dude, like I'm trying to fill these chairs. And I remember I would say that at a team meeting, like, we're gonna fill this room. We're gonna fill this room. And like we did not fill that room. We did not fill that room. And it was but like, it was a challenge. Like, I would say that ownership part was important. And looking back on the summer, like after I closed early. Like I didn't even keep my recruiting all the way through August. Like I needed to go sell and go profit as much as I could. So I went to go sell, qualify for the company trip and stuff. But I realized like it was also like one of the things to learn, like looking back now in hindsight, and even like maybe that following year, which we could talk about, like 2018 to 2019 was like a big
Yeah.
year for sure. But in hindsight, like is exactly how it was supposed to be, you know. Because even now, like having branches that I'm putting out as a district manager now, like Abby in Palm Springs, shout out Abby, and Henri in Temecula, shout out Henri.
Shout
Like
it out.
they're doing really well, and I'm super proud of them. And it was actually funny because I was having a conversation with them the other day, and we were talking about like I was showing them like silver cup reports and stuff, and just like them going like Henri right now is number 3 in the nation.
I was looking at that. Yeah.
Abby's top 20, and they're both doing well. And I was like, you guys smashed my branch. And they were like, yeah, we know. They're like, yeah, we know. I'm like,
Yeah,
sick, dude.
clearly we
Awesome.
did.
Yeah, thanks. Cool. Yeah. Yeah. But it's it's just cool. So like looking back is just it's different, man. I feel like I'm super proud of them. They've done a really good job, and they've learned as much as they possibly can. Like they're prepping themselves to go do well. If they end up opening a district or open up another branch or whatever their next role is, they're going to do really good
I
at
think
it.
they do. I mean, they're world beaters right now, and the world is their oyster, as you know they say. And like, what was that change that you witnessed between that branch summer in 2018 to 2019? Like talk a little bit about that and the passion that you had for growth after, such
Yeah,
I'm just gonna say like such kind of a failure of a branch,
for sure.
great experience, but in your mind, you probably saw it as a failure.
Yeah, 100%. I think, man, when I uh when I closed down my office, I was still going to school, right? So
Wow.
like I couldn't like I had to go to school. I wasn't going to school in the summer, but I was going to school in the fall. He's running a branch just in the summer. And I was like at a huge fork in the road where, man, yeah, there's a lot of yeah, this is good. Yeah. All right. So after I closed my branch, man, like I didn't know what I wanted to do because it was hard. Like I just got kicked in the teeth. I just got kicked in the teeth. I got humbled, super overly confident kid. I just I got super humbled. And I was like, fuck this management thing. Like, do I want to go with management? Or like, am I just gonna go sell Cutco? Which in my mind, like, is like that's gonna be the easier route. Like I'm gonna go do something. I'm just gonna go sell and make money. Sell and make money. Um, and like, did I want to go to school? Still because I didn't like school. I ended up studying communications. I was like, what am I gonna do with communications? Like I'm communicating with people already. So like I wasn't passionate about the traditional education route. I was 18, 19 at the time now, and I was just confused, man. I was 18, 19-year-old kid. I didn't know what I wanted to do. And um and man, I remember it was 2018, like we get invited, like in 2017, I got invited to go to Olean. So go out to New York. And then that fired me up to go want to run a branch. So I did. And then obviously the branch went how it went. And I was like thinking about leaving the business, and Evan invited me to Olean. And I said yes, but then I was thinking about it and I was like, dude, I'm probably done. Like, I don't want to go to Olean. So I called. I remember this conversation. I was like, called Evan. I'm like, hey, I really appreciate, like the invite to Olean, but like you should, give it to somebody else. Like, I don't think I want to go to Olean, but thank
Just
you.
real quick, what is Olean for people
Yeah.
that aren't familiar with
Yeah.
how Cutco works?
So Olean is in like upstate New York, and that is like where our company headquarters is at. And every year, our like division manager, like our region gets invited, like it's like the top leadership candidates in like the West Coast, and fly us out to Olean to go to like the company headquarters in New York. And we do like a tour of the factory, and we get to meet like all the factory workers that make our product. Company's been there in Olean's 1949, so it's like a really special place. It's like the Mecca. So we've been around for 75 years, and a lot of companies aren't even open for 75 years. So just like a really special place to go. And there's also like you get to meet all the Cutco executives. Like you get to meet the CEO of Cutco, which owns Vector. Like Cutco owns Vector. Cutco's our parent company. And so it's great. Yeah, like a dinner with all the executives, get to meet everybody, and it's just all like the top of the top of the top people in the West. There's only like a select amount of people that can go. So I got invited 2017, and then I got invited 2018, and then you go to like Niagara Falls and stuff like that. You go to Canada. It's killer. It's an awesome trip. I really enjoy it. It's one of my favorite ones.
Yeah, top
And
three trips ever for me in Cutco.
dude, it's awesome. It's amazing. And but anyways, I told Evan, I'm like, I don't want to go. And he was like, well, like I already got your ticket. You're coming. Basically. So I'm
Classic Evan. Classic Evan.
yeah,
Like
classic.
already
So
bought your ticket, so
I'm like, sick.
okay.
All right, cool. Let's have a good time. So, and I was like, dude, I was freaking out. I was stressing out at this point in my life. But I go to New York, right? I go to Olean, and one of the nights is like our push period count up, where it's like a sales contest, and you can see who wins the contest. And I wasn't even close to winning because I was just so in my head and overthinking, where like I was just stuck. Like I wasn't really working, and like I was floating for months. And like I feel like that is a terrible place to be, is just floating. And I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of people find themselves floating, um because you just find yourself on the fence, and you don't make a decision. And dude, I was just so on the fence of everything, management or CSP, school or not school. vector or not vector. So I was
Mm.
just like on so many different fences, and I'm like, fuck, I was stressing out. Um,
Definite
and
in anything you were doing, and it was so nothing was happening, Yeah,
nothing was happening.
yeah.
But so like I'm trying to find the meaning of like this whole trip, and I remember I was so like if you imagine like if you walk into like this big ballroom type of thing, and there's like a bunch of round tables, and at each round table there's like one of the Cutco executives, and I didn't even like think of, I just sat at a random table. I just sat at a random table, and it happened to be Jim Stitt Jr.'s table, and I was sitting right next to him. And so Jim Stitt Jr. is the owner of the company. So he's the owner of the company, and and then I realized, like when I realized that, like Evan walked by me and he like tapped me on the shoulder and he was like, "Hey, like look at who you're sitting next to." And I was like, awesome. Like I'm already stressed out. I'm already stressed out. And I'm like, now I'm sitting next to the owner of the company. Like I've never sat next to CEO before. Like I'm 19 years old at this point. Like, what do I even ask this guy? Like, what do I ask this guy? I'm on all these different fences. I'm stressed out. And then he
He's
sits
gonna think
down, like,
I'm
and
not-
everyone's talking.
he's gonna think I'm this, he's gonna think I'm that, probably.
Yeah, man, like I'm freaking out. And anyways, like he sits down and we're all talking. It's like a round table, and then I ended up I was like asking him a bunch of questions, and then like my questions quickly turned into like ranting to this guy. And I'm like, I'm not where I want to be. I want to be like Anthony Hayes, shout out. I want to be like Kuval Patel, shout out. Like I want to be like them. And I was just like, dude, I was bitching. I was just bitching. And I remember him. He was like, whoa, like Jeremy, pause, stop. And I was like, what? And he was like, relax, you're doing it. And when he said like, relax, you're doing it, like I stopped for a moment. I was like, please explain because like, I don't understand because
Like
I'm freaking.
I don't feel like I'm
Yeah.
doing
Dude, I'm freaking out here, man. Like, what are you talking about? And he was like, just look at like, just be, he basically told me, be patient, be patient and look at like the trajectory that you're setting yourself on, like 1, 2, 3 years down the road, 4 years down the road, 5 years down the road, 7 years down the road. And I was like, all right. So like that was like a really important breakthrough. Like just be patient with myself and understand that I'm in the right room. Like I'm here, like I'm in the room, like I'm out here for a reason. And like to get out of my head. And I ended up I left that event and I just decided I'm like, I'm going to commit. I'm going to commit to a year. I'm going to commit to a year here and I'm going to grind. I'm just going to see what happens.
Hmm.
And I would say that being in Olean, like I was definitely at like rock bottom. And then 2019, um, like I was the sales manager. So that would be like a lead assistant manager, like lead team captain type of thing. And like that was like my best year in the business at the point. Like I sold the most Cutco. I had my first 10K push. I had like a 10K push, a 15K push, then I had a 10K push. Um, but like anyways, I got invited to go back to Olean the next year, and it was a great year. Like I was learning a bunch. I was like way more clear. I decided to stop going to school. I stopped going to school in the spring of 2019, and the trip in Olean in 2018 was November. So like I had like it was like a few months where I was just like trying to gut out school, and then I ended up stopping.
Yeah,
Um,
a lot of decisions were
dude,
made. A lot of decisions were made
a
where,
lot of decisions were made.
yeah, yeah, and that changed everything.
Yeah. And I got invited to go to Olean, and like there's a sales contest, right? The same sales contest as there was last year. And I wanted to take the W. Like I wanted to take the W. Like overall, I wanted to take the W. I wanted to beat all like the management candidates. I wanted to beat the CSPs. I wanted to beat the CSPs or Cutco sales professionals. Like I wanted to beat everybody, all the reps, all the management candidates. I wanted to beat everybody. And I like busted my ass for the push period. And I hit my goal of like 10 grand at the buzzer, you
Yeah.
know. So I hit it like at the buzzer that night before the flight left at like 5 in the morning. Like I have a photo with my customer. You'd actually find this photo and I'll show you right now. This
Yeah, and
is
a push is what, like 2 weeks, 14 to 17 days of just going hard and selling as much as you can. And an average order of Cutco is like what? Like for you, it'd probably be like 400 to 500. And this man sold 10 plus thousand, which
Yeah.
is
And geez.
placing 20 orders within 14 selling days. And
Yeah.
that's the definition of, yeah, like putting yourself out there, like doing everything you can.
Yeah. It was a grind, man. And it was fun. I gotta find this photo though, bro.
No, you have to find it. Go for it.
Yeah, I gotta find it.
And like
But
I touch on like decisions, right? And like I've learned this from Mike Chu and like from, some other masterminds that I've been a part of. But like, yeah, as soon as you decide, which if you look at CIDE, that is the suffix of the word, it's also attached to homicide, to insecticide, pesticide, whatever. It's to kill off. Side is to kill off. So
yeah,
when you decide, you kill off every other possible thing to do, right? And
yeah,
so you made a decision to cut off everything else, but except for this. And so decision making is powerful because, yeah, you went from a place where no clarity, no decisions, drifting. As I remember the book name from last podcast, I couldn't remember it. It's called Outwitting the Devil. Definitely recommend that. You were just drifting. You had no direction, no definite plans of doing anything, no goals because you didn't know what you wanted to do. And you made a decision. As soon as you made that decision, you cut off everything else. And you said, no, I'm doing this.
yeah.
Full fledged 100%. And then, yeah, continue with your 10K push.
Yeah, and then I found the photo here where this was November 5th and the flight was November 6th. So it was like, this is me with my customer, me with my customer. And that was at what time is that?
9:20 p.m.
Yeah, so I was like, this is my last appointment of the day, my last appointment of the day. And I needed at this point for that appointment, I needed to sell like $1,300 on the appointment. And she bought like a little bit over $1,300 worth of stuff. So like got me over 10K. And then I ended up going, like, long story short, I ended up going to Olean and I ended up like, so I ended up go here. Shout out Gilbert Gonzalez. This is where I got the trophy. This is where I won, you know.
As well. Classy as always.
Yeah,
Yeah,
dude,
I'm gonna
awesome.
have to get gonna have to get Gilbert on here too one day.
Oh yeah. Well, this was actually like the moment because it was then me and Nate Ferrer who were like the last two,
Yeah.
and we don't know who won. But then like this is right where I found out that I won because Nate stepping up to like announce his, and then I was like still standing and I sold over 10 grand. And I wanted to like win in front of like the president, like I wanted to win in front of him, in front of the owner. And this was like the photo with me and him like that year. But like
One
this
exact year later of not telling
later.
him, hey, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know if I should do this. Ranting, and he's like, hey, just be patient. One calendar year later, on stage,
Yeah.
picture number one rep for the entire competition.
Yeah,
He
and that year,
like
like
I told you so moment for him. Like, hey, I told you, just be patient. Like,
yeah, and that year too, like I sat next to him intentionally too. Not like I was like, hey, I gotta update you on this fucking year that I had, bro. Like I gotta update you. And like don't get me wrong, though, like 2019 was really hard. 2019 was like still very hard year. Like I lost my license, so I couldn't drive. Like that push period, like I had no license. I had no license. My girlfriend of 2 years and I broke up. That crashed and burned. Didn't go well at all. So like that was fucked. I was in the hospital because my kidneys failed during SC1 push.
oh my God.
Um, like it was just it was a bad year. Like it was a great year, but it was a challenging year.
Yeah.
But like that's the thing. Like 2018 was challenging, 2019 was challenging, 2020 was challenging, 2021 was challenging, 2020, like every year is challenging. And like it's never going to stop being challenging, but you just become the kind of person that can like I'm gonna go up this fucking mountain anyways. Like I'm gonna enjoy it. I'm gonna like learn how to be more gracious with how I navigate challenge. And you just get better, like it's like a game, like you want to conquer all these challenges so you like acquire more XP and then you can level up to the next challenge and you acquire more XP and you level up. And that's how I've always viewed it. And but yeah, man, I was really grateful for that. Like that was honestly like one of my biggest breakthroughs, like just professionally too, was just like committing to something for a year. But also, man, just like excuse me, but just as a young man, it's like just fucking commit to something and make decisions and don't just wait and sit and think all the fucking time and twiddle your thumbs and kick rocks around. Like you need to make a decision and you need to do stuff. because no one's gonna do it for you. Like no one's gonna do it for you. Um, so I'm super grateful for that. That was honestly one of my biggest breakthroughs that I've ever had. And
Yeah.
like become the type of person that's no matter what, you're gonna take over challenge and like learn how to enjoy the process too, which is cool. And then man, there's just so many challenges: 2020, 2021, 2022, 2023.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like 2019 like kind of slingshotted you though up and kind of gave you that perspective of like, okay, I know, okay, if there were challenges in 2018, if there were challenges in 2019, well, there's probably going to be challenges coming up,
Yeah.
and we'll just see them when I get there. I'll just
Sure.
knock them out when I get there. It's probably not going to be easy, but it probably shifted your perspective because, like, yeah, 2018, you said like humbled, was overconfident, did
Yeah.
like way in over my head, and you got your teeth kicked in. And then
Yeah.
2019, you're like, I kind of expected challenge this time. And I
Yeah.
prepared more for the challenge mentally, more than physically, because you don't know what's going to happen. You can't go like, all right, in July of SC1, as I'm doing my yearly planning, I'm going to get kidney failure right here. So I'm just going to make sure I block those days out of my,
Yeah.
like, no, like you can't plan for that on a physical level. And so
Yeah.
you got to prep for that mentally and just know like, I got to prepare for the worst and just hope that the best ends up happening. But if the worst does happen, which for 2019, I feel like both of us had probably like some god awful experience. Like I think that the whole summer for
You should make a podcast episode, just a solo episode, just of your branch summer.
yeah,
Like
I think I am, or
you
just
honestly should, bro.
my
That's gnarly.
brother, like or have my brother on again because he was there, through it, and
Yeah. Yeah.
and maybe one of my other friends that was or family members that was also there because like yeah, like that was just you said like yeah, your branch might have been like the worst in company history, and I was like I think I second that.
Yeah,
I
that's right. Yours is pretty
think I have
gnarly.
the craziest story though, like
You
the
definitely have a
craziest
crazy
branch.
story.
So yeah, but like I feel like your challenge really like slingshotted you into where you're at now. And so after 2019, where you were the sales manager, you're a sales leader, number one, and you're also helping out with training, with recruiting, with interviews, while still selling 10K, 15K push periods. Like what was that like balancing the management side of things while also handling business and sales?
Yeah, I thought it's a good question. I thought it was fun. I thought it was fun. I loved being the sales manager, because I had either way, like the job's really flexible, right? You get to make your own schedule and you're like in charge of it, and I mean that you're also in charge of your results that you get from how you navigate your schedule. But I thought it was fun, like I was at the time, like when I was in my relationship with my girlfriend at the time, like I was having fun. Like all my friends were still in college. So like I was partying, I was having fun, and I was making good money, and like I was making impact on the team, and I was like having a good time, like I was having a good time with it, and I was learning a lot because I was working with Evan, and I felt like I was getting prepped, and I felt like it was good for me to not jump into running a branch again. Like it was great for me to like stay back and just like learn and sell and actually have time to like learn the business,
Yeah.
and that time like
Incubator of like a really good, like a solid little home base, just like recharge, get everything you need again, have like a really nice support. Not everything is on you at the end of the day. You
yeah.
have some ownership, you have a lot, you do have responsibility with the team, but it's not all on you at the end of the
Yeah.
day.
That's like it was like, honestly, I felt like it was a great balance. I loved being a sales manager. Honestly, I had a really great time. The only thing that I would not like about being a sales manager is that I couldn't qualify for the company trip.
Ah, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't qualify for the company trip. Like everybody went to Paris that year,
Yeah.
But it was crazy because when everyone went to Paris, like right when they came back, COVID happened.
Yeah.
Because
So
that
what was
was in
that like for you? What was being, from
there.
going in person, right? You and I grew up in the business, in person, everything, barely like maybe 10% of appointments or less were
Yeah.
virtual. Probably less than 10% of anything was virtual. And then
Yeah.
I college, you're, doing your thing, and I'm home on spring break. Like my COVID like little stories. I'm home on spring break of my last year of college. I brought a suitcase and then I get a update message from my school saying like spring break's being update or I guess extended another
Yeah.
week. And I was like, oh, tight. I get to hang out with family, this, that. This is awesome. Hell yeah. And then another month. And then it was, hey, school's shutting down indefinitely. And I was like, I have a suitcase. Like that is all I have. And all my stuff is in North Dakota. And then I just dove like right into business. I just dove in right to being Dave's division office manager, getting right to it, learning all the new systems for, navigating a virtual office, online interviews now, online demos only, online training only. And obviously recruiting could be done digitally, but
Yeah.
that was like a big change up and curveball thrown at the entire company. And for me, I was like, all right, well, I'm pretty much almost done with school anyways. I got a couple months left. All my classes are online now, and my teachers have no idea what they're doing. So
Yeah.
every got A's. So I was pretty much like going into Dom. And
Yeah.
those of you that don't know what Dom is, so like our division manager, they are in charge of like the whole geographic area. So like my division manager, Dave Powders, he'll be on here one of these days, in charge of the whole Bay Area and all of the offices located in the Bay Area. He was the one making sure, he was like basically the godfather of the Bay, like making sure everyone in their office was accountable
Yeah,
for their.
that's a tough name there. Yeah, Godfather of the Bay is tough.
That's a fire name. I don't think I've ever called him that, but like Dave doesn't have that Godfather. Like Dave's like the best human on the planet. Like he doesn't have that like Al Capone,
Yeah.
type of attitude. But anyways, so what was it like for you transitioning from everything in person to, you know,
Yeah.
the virtual digital world? I'm gonna grab my water. It's right over there, real quick.
Yeah. I would say one of the things I like, for any Cutco peeps out there, like people that started post COVID, um, it's just like there's so much changed. Like all the challenges that we talked about, right? Like everything that we talked about, all the lessons that you learn, like all of those was like from an in-person world, like all in-person interviews, in-person training, in-person demos, all product, like if someone was doing a virtual appointment, I'm like, why are you doing that? Like, why are you doing in person? Why are you doing a virtual appointment? I was like, just go do it. Like obviously it made sense that they're out of town.
Get the product in their hand and let them
Yeah,
cut
it's like,
the knife. Like
yeah, it was just all we knew. And and so and then all of a sudden it was just all gone. Like we weren't allowed at the office, like we weren't allowed to be with people, no product, no sample kits. And then it was just, and I was prepping to like take over Evan's office, and I was really excited to do that. And I was gonna be the division office manager. I was gonna run this
we were
pilot.
going to compete against each other as
Yeah,
division
yeah,
office managers. You were going to be Evan's division office manager, and I was prepping to be Dave's division office manager, and our offices would inevitably compete against each other.
yeah, yeah, which was awesome.
Yeah,
And it was a man, it was because it was also just Evan and I, we didn't have a staff. It was just me and Evan. And we had to figure it out. And that's really the answer. Like we don't really know how we're gonna figure this out, but like we're gonna figure it out type of thing. And I think like that's a great gift to just acquire in general. I was actually having a conversation with a young buck on my team yesterday, who's going away for college. He's gonna do long distance with his girl. And I was like, yeah, like one of the great things that like you'll learn just growing up too, man. Like as a young man, is like you're gonna be a problem solver no matter what it is. Like I don't know how it's gonna work out, but I'm gonna make sure that it works out.
yeah,
Like being able to become that type of person that's like I'm a fucking problem solver. Like I'm gonna figure it out. And that's one of the things I definitely learned in 2020. I was like, I'm just gonna trust the process and just grind and do what I need to do. And the answer is gonna come. The answer is gonna come. And I just need to make sure that I'm like present for that. So I just need to be here and be present for those problems to come that I can, they're going to come to me. Everything's going to come to me. The problems, all the good stuff is going to come to me, but I need to be ready to like navigate them. And, but it was fun though, man. Like, but it was just challenging because recruiting was bonkers in 2020
it
because
was insane.
you could just be open and people would come, like, cause
Yeah,
nobody was able to work and we shifted fully virtual. Like long story short, we did everything virtual.
everything.
And dude, like I remember I have like Snapchat videos of like our training class. We launched 10 people week to week to week to week during the summer. 20, we had massive training classes and massive PR collects. And it was just this never ending cycle of recruiting. Everybody wanted to hook people up with jobs because
No, there was
people,
nothing else.
like people weren't
Nothing
allowed to
else.
work. There's literally nothing else to do. And
Yeah.
people are at home, they're cooking. So like, obviously COVID had like a big impact on people negatively, right? So like saying this, being sensitive about it, but like it was almost like a perfect storm for the business, at least for us, because people were cooking, people had disposable income because they're not going out and eating. Like it was an interesting time.
No travel. So like that's big money saved up.
No
No,
travel, nothing.
yeah. And like also when in terms of like the recruiting, yeah, like we had training classes where we were launching 2020. We were recruiting so much. We did 2 trainings in a week. We did a
Yeah,
2 day this day, a day break, and then a 2 day this day for like the peak recruiting, like early July, late June
yeah,
recruiting. And like shout out to Kyle Lopes. I'm pretty sure Kyle was like, hey, we should probably do this so we can just launch more in the week. And yeah, it was ridiculous. I mean, we had like team meetings with like triple digits, on Zoom. And like a lot of people just like bought in, but it was also really cool from a like outside of a sales perspective to a culture perspective and a community perspective, because no one could go anywhere, no one could see their friends, no one could go out and see their family, but they had their Cutco team to like hang out with and talk to virtually. We had to come up with ways to do like team night out, right? Instead of like, hey, like a normal team night out would be everyone meets at the office, we do our team meeting, and then we go get some pizza or go bowling or throw freaking axes at wood boards, whatever it is. And then now it's like, hey, we're gonna play Among Us as a
yeah.
team,
I just
like
hang out, build a community. But
yeah.
yeah, man, I think that was like, and there's something too of just like how to manage all the chaos and also make it like creating a culture while you're managing. I feel like the chaos also creates culture almost in a sense. Like managing all the chaos. Like people are just bought in. Like I don't really know what the fuck's going on, but like this is cool. Like they're excited. There's energy here. Like I'm here for it. I feel like that there's something in that too. Just like showing up with energy creates culture, man. Like it makes it easy to follow when someone's fired up about whatever it is they're going towards, like whatever their mountain is, stay on track here for the podcast, for the pod, you
Yeah,
know.
and speaking of challenge, like one of the biggest challenges for me in 2020 was, yeah, I just school got canceled for me for
Yeah.
the rest of my very last year of college. Wrestling had just ended, so I was like really looking forward to actually being able to enjoy the last couple months of school
Yeah.
and not have to like be on the wrestling grind. I had 2 classes I was taking that last semester. Easy classes. I have
Yeah.
fun classes, great professors as well, great classmates. And then I moved back home, and at that time I was living on a ranch, and I had no cell service, and our Wi-Fi our Wi-Fi was so bad to the point of if I'm sitting there, like back in the day, I used to play a lot of Xbox with my brother, and we would have one Xbox and we'd like switch back and forth. If I'm playing a game online and my brother just simply opened Snapchat, I'd get kicked. That's how bad the internet was. So now, but it's like not just my brother at home, it's my mom, it's my dad, and my dad
Yeah.
runs a business, and now he's running it out of home, trying to navigate a in-person landscaping business to COVID. So that was really tough for him.
Yeah. That.
And he and my mom were going through their splitting up process. Like they were starting to split up, and that was like a big stress on me and my brother. And I'm grateful that we
Yeah.
were old enough to not really have it affect like I have friends that have had their family, split when they're 12. That's way tough. You don't know what's going on. You're not even mature enough to realize like what's happening, but you're
Yeah.
just like you thought you had the best family ever growing up, and all of a sudden you're like 12 or 13 and you can't even process what's happening. So I'm grateful that I was already like 22, 21, 22, where I'm able to really like have my own perspective on the situation, and I'm not like choosing sides. I'm coming at it from a very unbiased situation. And yeah, like I remember, hopping on Zoom to like run a TLA or something, and anyone that was in our office for 2020 or 2021, as soon as 6 p.m. hit, my internet dropped. I had to drive to a Starbucks to run the meeting, and like from my car, take their Wi-Fi to like be able to run my part of the meeting. And also like, our Apex interview system was
Yeah.
Blough when it first came out,
Yeah.
and I had to drive to my buddy Josh's house, like 10 minutes away, to run all of my interviews in his kitchen table with all
Yeah.
of his family there because it's COVID. And like, yeah, very distracting, a lot of
Yeah.
stuff going on there. And like I'm running interviews with like 30 people in them and having oh man, it was very stressful outside. Like two of my best friends passed away that summer in terms of my buddy Vince and RP Vince and Aaron Converse, RP Aaron. And then my mom got breast cancer that summer.
Yeah.
And just this shitstorm of all of this stuff. And my dad was starting to really get into some bad habits with drinking because, you know, the splitting up with my mom and the business not going the way it was before. And just like a
Yeah.
lot of shit happening. My brother got kicked out of the house and like that was my best friend. And like, it just, like you said, like 2019 was challenging. 2020 was also challenging. But I had grown so much from that 2019 challenge that I was like, nah, this ain't stopping me. Cool. Oh, I got to drive my buddy. Like I shifted my perspective and kind of like Jocko Willink, he has that like good little YouTube video. He's like, oh, you don't have the new gear? Good. We'll take it all. Like what, like find the good in every single challenge that, could be not good. Right. So I was like, oh, mom and dad are splitting up. Good. I could focus on, just doing this right now. Like they're gonna have to figure that out on their own. That's not gonna involve me at all. Good. I can just buckle down on what I'm doing. And really like running the business was like a healthy distraction. I wasn't neglecting the challenge. I had to confront my dad. I had to confront my mom. I had to confront the death of my friends. I had to confront, every challenge that was in front of me. But I channeled that what could be negative energy, because energy, it's just energy. We decide what meaning it has. We decide if it's negative or if it's positive. And if it is negative energy from a situation, I can take that and change it into positive. Like I can
Yeah.
transmute that energy into something positive and impactful. And I was like, okay, well, this is negative, all negative in my personal life right now, except for like we had a solid 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Workout, getting the fuck after it
Yeah.
every morning during COVID.
Every
So
morning.
every morning we had up to like 10 people at my house lifting at 4 in the morning sometimes. So that was super positive, but then like everything else was not very positive. And it was like taking that, transmuting it, and just like showing up for my team exponentially and just like
Right.
being there, doing anything I could to help our team hit its goals, support them. So yeah, like a healthy distraction, but I was conscious and I wasn't like, just blocking everything out.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the challenge that I went through personally, navigating that. And so I learned a lot though. That was a very memorable summer and just year for me overall.
Yeah, man. I feel like thanks for sharing, man, too. That's a lot of growth there. That's a lot.
My mom's good, by the way, for those of you wondering if she's good. My mom's awesome. My mom's
Shout out,
amazing.
mama.
Yeah. My mom actually knows Jeremy's grandparents from the Sam's, how you mentioned way earlier. That is, what was it called?
Sam's place.
Sam's Place. Yeah. So my mom would frequent there often. And we didn't know Jeremy growing up, but like my mom has met Jeremy. He visited his grandparents one day and they lived up the street from where my mom lives now.
Literally right up the street.
Small world. He's like, yeah, my grandparents own Sam's Place. She's like, get out of here. I've been going to Sam's Place for X amount of time. And
Yeah.
so,
Man, I
yeah.
haven't been to Tahoe in a while. I think the last time I went to Tahoe, man, what was that? When I went up there after my grandfather passed.
Hmm.
2020, it was 2020 when I went up there, I think. And I think that was 2020 when I went up to go see you too. When I went up to see you and your mom, right? Was that 2020? I think.
That was. I'm pretty sure I have the pictures of that. Yeah, like the timestamp there. Had to be
Yeah.
2020 because I was working. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
October 2020. I just Yeah, I remember we did an Olean virtual trip that weekend. I don't know if you remember that. We did like a
Yeah.
virtual
Oh
Olean.
yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. Yeah, and then yeah, that's right. Yes, yes, we did.
Oh,
Damn.
yeah, got hella sushi. I remember I got hella sushi while I was
No, that
watching.
was fire. Yeah, we went
I'd
to
never gone to Olean because I always had a wrestling tournament while the Olean weekend was happening. And so like when you had your terrible Olean experience, where you're all that's when my stomach was bleeding internally. Uh, when I would talked about last
Dude, life
podcast
is just,
episode.
man, life is hard, you know, life
Yeah,
is hard,
man.
you know,
Like I could never go to Olean, and then finally I'm able to because I'm out of college and COVID hits. I'm like, oh, now I got to do my first Olean tour online. But yeah,
yeah,
talk
most
about like the passing of your grandfather and how that affected you. Because I know you always talked about how important he was in your life, how much he was there for you, and you looked up to him, incredibly. And
yeah,
I'm sure that was probably one of the biggest challenges up your mountain that you've ever had.
for sure. Yeah, 2020 was tough. That was the first time I've ever experienced death before, for
Mm.
like someone like like close to me, like someone in my family. And so I feel like it's always important to have like giants in your life, people that you really look up to. And for me, it was my grandpa. And um, he was like, for me growing up, he was like the epitome of like success. Not even just like financially, like my grandfather did well. My grandfather was a CIO of Jack in the Box before it became Jack in the Box. Jack in the Box used to be called Food Maker. Uh,
What a name.
before, yeah, I know, right? Before it was Jack in the Box, and they had an awesome house in Tahoe, and
Yep.
um, so my grandfather was also just like he was a great guy. Like he was like a good man, took care of people, like integrity, character. He'd always talk about like your character is the most important thing. Be a man of integrity, tell the truth, be honest, like all like being a good man, and then he died in 2020, and he just had a lot of complications with his health and surgeries, and it was just his time. It was his time, but it was tough, man. Like it was just gnarly. He did a lot for our family, like, and like my whole childhood of going up to Tahoe, um, twice a year, summers, and working at the restaurant when I was a kid, literally washing dishes and making pizzas and shit. Like all those things like came from my grandfather and my grandma, And when he died, it was just weird. It was a weird feeling. It was just a super, super weird feeling. Um, but he did so much for the family where it's like, I feel like that's one of my last conversations that I had with my grandpa was it was like December. It wasn't like my last it was like we went on a streak of having like phone calls every day, like towards the end of 2019. It was actually like right when I was going to take over for Dom. My
Mm.
grandpa was like doing all right health wise. My grandfather passed in June, and so it was like 6 months before he died. We went on like a streak of conversations every day, just chatting, just chatting, and he could talk, And I remember this day vividly. I don't know what day it was, but I was in the office, in the pilot office, and I was like about to take over for the pilot. Remember, I was walking in the office. I was walking around the office, and I was like telling him all about. He was telling about like his old board meetings and shit, like for Jack in the Box and him going to China and stuff. And then I was telling about me like about to take over as Dom, and I was just fired up, man. Like I was really fired up to do it. And he was like, you know what you and me have in common? And I was like, what? And he was like passion. And that I remember like if we do ever like Tony Robbins, like I like Tony Robbins, I do meditation, you know. And one of the things that Tony talks about is think of a time where you're like super happy, super grateful, like any important moment of your life. Like it's probably that conversation for sure. Because I know I'm passionate, I'm fired up, and I care about what I do, and you know, and I believe in what I believe, and I'm passionate about it when I like think about it and I put my mind to something, like I'm just fired up to go do it. And I think about the conversation, So how do I bring that to my team is what I think about now, like how do I pour that to my team? How do I bring that to my people? And how can I show like that level of presence and passion for my team, like that's what I think about pretty often. So that was yeah, that was an interesting time in my life when he passed. But it's good, it's life, man. It's life. People leave, people leave. But like that passion part of it, it's that's not going anywhere, So I think about it all the time. I think about him all the time. And yeah, that was a big thing for me, you know. But the Don, the goat,
Yeah,
the goat,
go right there.
the
I wish I
goat.
would have been, man. I really do. I mean, I appreciate you sharing all that. I know it's probably get some feelings within your body, talking about that, and
Sure.
just like reliving those moments and whatnot. And some time has passed now, so I'm sure you've had time to process it.
Bro, do
And
you think that that was 4 years ago? It's crazy.
yeah,
It's just right 4 years ago.
how did you deal with it? How did you handle it while still showing up to be a leader within your business, year in and year out?
Yeah, fuck. It was hard, dude. Like it was really hard. Um, but like, man, I remember when we left Tahoe, I was driving down from Tahoe with my uncle.
Like when I saw you,
Yeah, like that time.
you had that cool car, the
That was
Jaguar.
yeah, we were whipping.
Yep.
I was drove down to San Diego with my uncle, and we were just talking about the whole situation. And it was just crazy, man. Just life keeps going, like life doesn't stop. Even though like maybe it feels like my world stopped for a little bit, like the world doesn't stop. Like we still have shit to do, like you still have shit to do, and we all have responsibilities, and we have things that we need to take care of, and we got to show up for people. And so like there's not really another option, but also there's not another option but to continue moving forward. And it's also like, he wouldn't want me like moping around. He wouldn't want my brother or I moping around. And like, he'd want us to keep moving, So I think that I hope so. I hope that's what he'd be thinking,
Yeah.
at the moment.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think it's like the sense of obligation. Like I owe it to myself. Um, and I owe it to him and just the people in my life, man. I can't just stop. And but it's also okay to like not be okay, but it's also not okay to like stay there and like stay not okay. Like you owe it to we owe it to ourselves in my mind, like to continue moving forward with our life and our goals and the people that we influence, So I had to show up, I had to show up. But like I took some time off of work. I took a little bit of time off of work, like, and
It's
then
okay.
I got back into it, and I won't forget, it was a team meeting because I was up in Tahoe for a while. It was a virtual team meeting. And I just remember it was just the whole team. Everyone knew it was going on with me, but the whole team was just super supportive. And it's just nice having a crew, man. It's nice having a tribe. So like that's also one way that I was able to show up, because like people care about you, and it's like we're all a tribe. We're all a tribe, and we all just want everyone to do well and be happy and successful. And but yeah, being able to lean on your circle of influence, man, I can't express how important your circle is. Having good people in your life is you can't pay for it, dude. I guess you can. I guess you pay for like, masterminds and shit.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. But you still have to be a good person for them to even like gravitate
yeah,
towards you to still remain, friends with you, because that mastermind group, it's
yeah,
only a mastermind at the surface, right? And if you don't put intention to making it more than that, then that's on you, right? Like
yeah.
you got to go out there and create that circle. And so yeah, fast forward now. So like 2020, by the way, if anyone's, yes, I know we mentioned Jeremy and I were competing. I beat Jeremy for the
Yeah.
summer.
Got it for the pod. Yeah.
I had to throw that in there. I gotta just throw that in there real quick.
Little drop.
I think it was close though, but you have beat us like Evan's office has beat us like every single year, like leading up to that, and so like we finally beat you guys. I think we beat you guys for the summer. I'm not sure for the entire year
I think he beat us for the year
played
too.
out. And then you stayed Dom, and I opened as a new DM, and
Yes.
my office did. Shout out to our amazing staff and support. We did number 3 in the entire company for new district managers that went out and ran their office for 2021. And I started throwing in small bits of in person during that time. And then I remember you telling me, dude, you're killing it. I wanted to compete with you. I wanted to be in your same district class so that we could keep
Yeah.
competing year in and year out. And you're like, I'm so ready to be a DM while you were still doming another year. And
Yeah.
then you finally opened up in 2022. You were a new district manager, opened in January though of 22 to do the January program because winter break recruiting sponkers during winter break. And then
Yes.
You did really well first full year, really well, and you're just like building and building and building. Now you're at what, 1.6 million in sales at 25 years old?
Yeah.
Yeah, not too bad. And you're now more focused on development than your personal sales. So tell me about like the maturity level and change of, when you started as a new district manager to where you're at now as a district manager, a couple of years in the game.
Yeah, it's a good question. Um, and it's fun. It's a grind. But the grind, I feel like the grind looks different like every year. Being a DM, like, because when you open up an office, like it's at least in my scenario, like I didn't open up with anybody. Like I didn't have a staff. Like I had JJ coming with me. Because I trained JJ when he came back to the business, and I was
Shout
working
out
with him.
to AJ. I got to get him on here. I got to get him on
Yeah,
here.
bro. Yes, you do. Yeah, I was with JJ last night.
Nice.
But yeah, shout out JJ. Love you, brother.
Love you
Uh,
too.
and what I was gonna say was but yeah, so it's just like it's just it's you and whatever vision you want to build, and it's just like, dude, you're just in the trenches, you're just trying to build everything solo until you get a little something, you can keep that with you, and then keep some people and you get some development, you can start to scale a little bit. But year one was great. I think we finished number 3 as well in the nation, or number 3 or number 4, one of the two. Like
Beat
we're
you. When you
we're definitely top.
Gerardo,
Yeah, and I'm
Gerardo.
honestly really grateful for like the people I opened up with though. Like I'm great because it was just my path. It was my path, and I was grateful I opened up with Gerardo and Funk, and I talk to those guys all the time. Actually, what day is today? Sunday. I had a conversation with Funk on Friday. Just like a quick phone call, and we were actually talking about like how things have changed because we opened the same time. And I feel like year one and year two, like I was very competitive. No, like I'm still a competitive guy. Like I'm very competitive, but like I'm always looking at reports, like always looking at Silver Cup, always looking at Silver Cup, and like number one, year one, like me looking at the Silver Cup report, which is the national championship, you like you almost like attach your value to like a number, you know,
Mm,
which is like not healthy in my mind. Like I don't think that's healthy.
not
And I
sustainable.
didn't, yeah, man, like I didn't have like a healthy relationship with that. So like year one was like, if I didn't have a good sales report, then I'd be fucking pissed. I'd be pissed. Like it really affect my mood. Year two, like I didn't care as much, of like winning Silver Cup. It would have been cool to win. We also finished, I think we finished number 4 last year, which was 2023. Um, and then this year, like I don't really, right now we're top 10, I think. Don't know. Top 10 or top 15, but like I'm not looking at the report as much. Like I'm not looking at the report as much. And but we're having our best year ever. We're having our best year ever. In recruiting, we had our best spring. We're having our best summer ever. We're gonna have our best fall ever. And like that for me, like that's what I really, as long as I'm growing, like as long as I'm growing the business year over year, like that's what matters. And I'm actually really grateful for this year because this year has just been filled with a lot of firsts for me. Like I'm gonna get my BMW in the fall, so like that's a first. I've never gotten a car before, that I've, never, like I've always had hand-me-down cars. So first time for that, first time putting out branches.
Mm,
Um, just like all the like I feel like the year is filled with firsts for me. So it's just I feel like I care about that more. Like it's my first time having this level of a spring, my first time having this level of a summer, this time having a district team. I feel like that fires me up more than just like the competition part of it, of like looking at where I'm at personally for my name on a report. It just doesn't really fill me up as much.
mm,
And I also feel like lifestyle like matters for me too right now. And I feel like it's because like year 3, like year 1 to 3, I've learned to like generally focus on the things that actually move the needle in the business rather than the results or the reports, right? I've just like less on this side, more on the shit that actually matters. And like in Cutco, it's you need to book fire, like you need to book PRs and active recruits, and you need like good productivity. You need good pop. Like I'm trying to be like Gerardo, PPR Poppy, you know
yeah, team needs to sell.
team needs to sell. Now I need to get good kids on the team, and we got to get them successful their first weekend. Um, but man, even on the topic of like circle of influence, like I went out and I went to go cross train with Gerardo.
Yeah.
Shout out Gerardo, love you, PPR Poppy.
Where's Gerardo at, and like what are kind of his accolades? So that
Yeah, Gerardo's the greatest of all time of our generation. He's the goat of all.
I agree.
Gerardo is the greatest of all time of this upcoming generation of vector managers.
He's like what, 24, 23?
I think he's 24.
Yeah,
I think,
24.
I think he's 24. I know he's a little bit younger than me. I think. I know
Yeah,
Funk is 24 for sure. Funk is
yeah.
24 for sure. But I went out. So Gerardo's in Lubbock, Texas, and
Nothing out there, by the way. There's not much in Lubbock, Texas.
yeah, they got Whataburger. I had Whataburger when I went out there, and it was pretty good. It was
Is
pretty
it
good.
better than that, though?
No chance.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, what? Sorry, man. Whataburger is not better than In-N-Out. I
It's
mean,
got options.
yeah, but that's what I mean. Like,
License.
they can't specialize in shit,
Yeah,
But In-N-Out has a mean double double for sure. You can count on it.
yeah.
You can count on a mean double double.
Off topic, but what's your like go-to in and out order? Like
Double double, chopped chilies, animal style, and just fries, extra crunchy.
Okay, okay. Let me
Yeah.
one up you with a 3x3. Actually, a 3x2. I only like two cheeses because
Yeah.
cheese is too much. I get grilled whole onions. Yeah, whole
Yeah.
grilled onions,
That's
chopped chili, toasted bun with animal fries.
toasted bun.
Toast-
Toast bun. This man's a dog.
Toasted bun. Yeah,
Yeah.
sit down, dog. I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd. And then I
Just
get a
gourmet.
Neapolitan shake that has all the flavors. It tastes like a cookie dough milkshake when you get them all combined. But anyways, okay, so you go to Lubbock, Texas to visit Gerardo.
Yeah, I went out to go visit Gerardo, and it was funny because like we are all in the same report, and like the first time I met Gerardo was SLC of 2020,
Was that
when we finished our first year, like our
Scottsdale?
first SLC. What was that? Yeah, I think so. Shit, I don't even know. I think so. First time I met him and Funk, we took a photo and all that stuff because we're all in the same report. I'm like, dude, I want to come out and like visit you. And I was like texting him after SLC. I was like, yeah, I want to come cross train. Never been cross training. I want to come out and see you. And I'll never forget, man. Gerardo's like, he wasn't being like, like cocky or anything, but he's him, But he was like, I have a long line of people, basically. He was like, I got a lot of people that want to come cross training. Like, I'll get back to you. And I'm like, all right, understood. Sick. But I followed up, like, hey man, I'm coming out. He's like, I still got a long list of people. Like, I'm circle back. Because Gerardo and I weren't like very close back then. But I'm like, dude, I'm gonna buy a fucking ticket. Like I can come out these dates. Like, let me come. Like, I'm gonna come. And eventually I ended up buying my ticket. I bought my ticket. I just was poking at him. And I came out and I stayed with him and his wife for a week. And their dog Willow. Shout out to the family, to the Lueras. And it was cool. So like I learned like Gerardo, man, just like so focused on just showing up the right way. And it's just so like simple, And it's interesting because like they actually like never like they had COVID, but like they've always been in person type of thing. Yeah, they're in Texas, and it's very different from San Diego, California, it's just in general.
Oakland, California. Yeah.
Yeah, you had to shut down. But either way, just learn like he almost treats the job like a 9 to 5. Well, it's like kind of pisses me off a little bit because it's so simple, like it's so simple. He's just like, I just show up and I'm here at the office all day, do my thing in the morning. He like his routine was the same every single morning. Every single morning. Woke up at the same time, did his thing, drove to the office, got work done, came home, and then came home to it was just normal. It was like a normal job. But he's cooking. So I like to think there's something to that too. Of just like being so focused on the things that actually matter, which is just showing up and working on the things that actually, because we have all this flexibility and freedom as business owners, but like it doesn't matter. You still need to fucking work, just because you have yeah, you need structure. Yeah, you need structure, don't want to flexible yourself out of results, And so he's really good at doing that for sure. And I was even talking with Funk too, just how things have changed over the past few years. And Funk was like, I haven't looked at a Silver Cup report all year. He's like, I couldn't even tell you where we're at in the Silver Cup report. And I was like, really? He was like, yeah, man. And he was like, he's just because him and Anna, his fiance, like now they're running offices together. They're like, yeah, like Funk is like, I am so happy. He's like, I'm so happy.
Yeah, Funk just wrote a book, and
yeah,
it's the wait list, I think, right now, and you can pre-order it. I think it's like the Dreams List is what it's called, something like that. I'll get the official title and I'll link it into the bios because I know Funk wants to get this book as big as possible. It's awesome. It's about turning your dreams basically into reality, like in those dreams that you have in your head to actually like doing them
Yeah.
and getting them out. And he's also into real estate investing and Airbnb investing. And he's 24 years old. He's got like 2 or 3 houses. Like he is the man. Like Funk is figuring it out. And yeah, it's cool. It's cool to see him on that journey. And if he's saying I haven't looked at a Silver Cup report, you probably know like, Dad, there's something to that.
Yeah, for sure. And he's just more focused on like it's not like it's not the point. Like any Silver Cup report is as a result of how we're doing the job, and like but we need to focus on things that like make us happy and priorities change. Like for example, like over here in the West, like for our SC1 contest, which is like our summer conference sales contest.
Like
And
it's like the playoffs, I would
yeah, it's
say.
the playoffs. Yeah, it's the playoffs. And like my district, we were back-to-back champs, since we've been open. We won year one, 2022, and then we grew a lot year two, and we won again. And then this year, like we didn't win, like we didn't even come close. But Henri won, Henri won. He was number one branch
Your
overall.
brand won it. So
Yeah,
it's
like
a product
it,
of
it's
you still getting the first place trophy.
yeah, like in true new business, like everything under 30 grand, like Henri won overall, which is great. And we just fired up, man. It was cool. Like it was, and I cared about that more than like us not winning, like in our district,
Yeah.
because I didn't really like, it's great to win. Like going three-peat would have been awesome. Like it didn't really like fire me up as much as I thought it was going to this year. And like there's
Yeah.
something to that maybe.
Well, like
Uh,
what has been that? Because like you're talking now, like I was looking at the reports all the time. I was competing super hard for that place finishing in the Silver Cup. And now you're at a point where you're like, I don't really care about that as much. And I'm seeing my leaders develop. Like, what was the shift in mindset to go from, yeah, my office, my office, my office, to now you have these two killer branches that are, I mean, one, I think that Hansen guy, Hangren, Lundgren, whatever his name is from Eastern Idaho, I think he's going to win the Branch Silver Cup. Like he's got a substantial 100K lead right now to number two. On
Hanson,
number three,
yeah,
and Abby's, like you said, in the top 20. Like,
yeah,
what has that mindset shift looked like in terms of, hey, now I got development and I kind of care about them more than my own results.
yeah.
Said it right now with Henri winning SC1. It's like, yeah, I cared about that more than me winning it. What has that been like? How has that fired up? How has that like developed a deeper level of passion towards the business?
Yeah, I would say so. Like it's honestly kind of a trip. Like it was kind of a trip, like being on stage for SC1, like right next to both of them, and they both beat me for push. Like Abby beat me by like a couple grand, I think, and then Henri beat us by a lot.
Spoke to you.
Uh, and
Shout out
yeah,
on.
yeah, shout out shout out Henri and Abby. Shout out. Sorry if you're gonna hear my dogs here in a couple seconds. But I feel like a big shift, man, honestly, is like full circle moment. And like these past 7 years being in the biz, like there's so much that I have learned, and like we can like just put that into people. And like, man, it's also just like a cool gift because like I feel like I've gone through a lot of fucking challenge and shit and mud and being in the trenches for so long. Or like they still need to earn their stripes, of course, and like put in the work to do that. But we can help them learn those lessons quick, right? Help them learn those lessons quick. Like for example, like Henri called me the other day, and Henri's been working his ass off. He's full-time student athlete out in Hawaii. He's got a shorter summer. Like he's already like about to start packing up, dude. He leaves in like 9 days to go to Hawaii, basically. And then his office lease is super short. So he's just been grinding, working super hard. And he called me like the other day, and he was like, dude, I'm fucking burnt out right now. He was like, dude, I'm working. I haven't seen my friends. I want to party. I haven't seen my family. Yeah, I haven't seen my girl. And I'm like, and he's like, yeah, I'm pissed. I haven't gotten a workout in. But dude, I remember feeling the same way too. Like I remember feeling the same way because like I'm building. I'm like, dude, I'm not seeing anybody. Like I'm not hanging out with anybody. Like I'm building, I'm build phase.
12, 14-hour days. Yeah.
Straight grind. But I'm like, look, man, like I'm not telling you not to do that stuff. I was like, Like, it's okay, man. Like, you can go work out. You know?
Yeah, like you should work out.
Yeah,
Like
I was like, you
find
should, man.
some time to do that. Like when I was running my branch, I still never missed a day of
Yeah.
running. Never.
And it's there's definitely time like, yeah, grind those 12, 14-hour days. Um, but like there's also something of like giving yourself permission to like do something, like
It's
you
on you, on Ray, but I know your branch is obviously doing triple what I did plus, and so you're doing something right in that era. But yeah, dude, you should still find some time to even get a 30-minute one in. Like
yeah,
that still is available for you.
for sure. Yeah. And even Abby too. Like Abby went to like the Dodgers game yesterday. What day is it, dude? Fucking Sunday.
Yeah.
Abby went to the Dodgers the other day, and there's still stuff to do, right? I'm like, just get your stuff done, man, and go have fun. I'm like, dude, go have a blast, which is great. Like, but just giving yourself permission to do that, man. Like, I think I remember like when I was coming up, I almost felt guilty, like doing something else than work. Like you've probably experienced that too, man. Like, fuck, man, like I'm here, but I could be booking PRs, or I'm here, but I
Exactly.
could be
As a
doing PDI.
graduation party, but like I just launched a new class of reps and now I got to do PDI. Like I
Yeah,
should do more PDI. I should be
yeah.
doing stuff.
I should be
Like
doing more. Like I should be doing more here. And but it's like,
always something to do, no matter what. I could work 24 hours a day when I was running my office.
yeah,
And but it wouldn't change things that much.
yeah,
It would make me show up less,
yeah,
but I would get more stuff done. So it would actually like balance out.
yeah,
And
sure.
so
And it's like for me too, like that's the cool thing. Like for me right now, like, if Henri and Abby end up opening offices and become district managers in the future, like I'm really excited for that. So like I can teach them those things, right? Just based off of my experiences and help them be happy, like in the business.
of like what the path is like the Sherpa up the mountain to tie this
Yeah.
back. Like, hey, like I've already been up here. I'm coming back down a little bit so I can show you guys, hey, we got to get over this boulder and it's going to be a little tough. Hey, we got to like cross this little stream and it's not going to be easy. We got to work together to do this.
Yeah.
And we show you guys the ropes of how to get, to where I am. And then I'm going to get a little bit more ahead because I'm older. I've been in the business. I got more experience. And then when
Yeah.
you guys need me again, I'm going to come back down and pull you guys back up. And,
Yeah.
that that synergy of just like, hey, I'm gonna get better so that I can come back down and help you guys get better. But I
Yeah.
also got to get better on my own.
For sure.
Like I got to develop myself. I got to make sure that I'm doing my part,
Yeah.
developing myself so I can't even be able to give you that guidance up the mountain. And so like on that topic, like what is the next peak for you? You've hit some peaks within Cutco, within Vector, within your life as well, like within your health, business, your happiness all around overall in life. Like what do those next peaks look like for you moving forward?
Yeah. I would say professionally, I'm excited for my first $1 million year when
Mm.
that happens. It'd be really challenging to do that this year. But we're having our best year ever. So like I'm trying not to be focused on the gap and focus on the gain of us having our best year ever. But like our first $1 million year is gonna be fun. Like I'm excited for that and get a Panerai watch. There's no more Rolex, but get a Panerai would be sick too. Get a cool watch. But either way, it's just like that would be awesome. Like that's just a big milestone for me. So
Can you speak
professionally,
on the gap versus the gain real quick for those that are just
yeah,
unfamiliar with that concept? Because I
yeah,
think
I
that's
love
a
that
really
book.
good concept.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you want to put that in the show notes too, like
Great
that, the
book.
gap and the gain is a great book. The concept of the book is like the book is really about people who are achievers. They set goals for themselves, and it's this concept of the gap or the gain. And most people find themselves in the gap, and it's like a self-imposed gap that we put on ourselves, or it's like we measure ourselves compared to like an ideal. Like, well, I'm here, but I should have been here, right? For example, like me being in the gap would be, or it's going to be really challenging. I'm not at 500,000. I haven't broken half a mil for the year yet. Right. And we're like halfway done with the year. We're not at half a mil yet, but just like, no, but I'm still having my best year ever would be the game. Right. Like
Okay.
I'm looking at every single month, just focusing on the positive. Like both sides are true. Sure. Like both sides are true, but whichever side you focus on, you're going to feel. So choosing to feel the game. Tony Robbins says, what's wrong is always available, but so is what's right. So like being able to look on like both sides, it's great, like understand and appreciate both sides, but choose to live in the game. And if you're not in the game, then just like look at the gap for a second, but you like actually look back and reflect on all the gains that you have and journal on those types of things. So yeah, like trying to live in the game too, for sure.
How,
That's a
like,
preference.
yeah, putting it in like the mountain terms, right? Tying it back to this podcast, it's almost like, hey, you're allowed to, instead of look up and go like, damn, I have so much more to go until I get to this fucking peak.
Yeah.
Look down and
Yeah.
damn, look how far we've come up.
Yeah.
Look
There's no
how far
back.
we could come up on this, like on this journey. Like, are you kidding me? Look at the view we have.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
let's see how much more further we could go and see what that view looks like. Because that's
Yeah.
probably way cooler up there. Right. I
Yeah.
mean, so I like that.
That's that discipline too. Is just like the discipline of like the discipline of your thoughts. Because
Mm,
that's the discipline of your thoughts. Because both are true. Like both true. Yeah, we might have a long way to go. But yeah, we still done a lot. But like, man, like whatever you're focused on, like you're going to experience those emotions, you know. Um, so yeah, it's just like a simple concept, dude. Like such a simple concept. But like that makes the ride to the top of the mountain like more fun and enjoyable.
way
Um,
more enjoyable.
yeah,
Yeah.
but like, and also too, like it's okay to like not feel okay though. Like it's okay to not. It's okay to be in the gap for a second, but you don't want to stay in the gap, especially if you realize that like you owe it to yourself to like break that pattern quick. The Tony Robbinsism, like we all have patterns, positive and negative. But if you, as soon as you identify your negative pattern, like you got to go break that shit. Because I mean, we went to UPW. UPW is
I was
awesome.
just gonna say, I was literally waiting for a lull to be like, you seem to be quoting Tony Robbins a lot. Like, what about your experience at UPW? Because I also went to UPW, I think a year after you.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. It was incredible. It led me to where I am now in my life, and I really highly enjoy where I'm at in my life. But what was that
Yeah.
impact for you?
Went to UPW in 2021, like right before I opened as a district.
Oh, you went 2 years before me.
Yeah, I went 2021. It was like November 2021.
Yeah.
It was bonkers, dude. Like it was my first time investing at the time, like a significant amount of money at the time.
23 years old, what? It was probably like 5 grand or
I was
more.
20, I was 22, yeah, and I spent at least a few grand on the entire thing, like travel, plane ticket, Airbnb, the ticket itself.
Yeah, I think it's like 2 grand plus.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I actually got a discount, but either way, like I spent like a few grand at least, and it was expensive, but dude, it was just all day, all like nonstop walking on fire. There's 10,000 plus people from all across the world in this fucking massive room. And dude, it was like, man, it was crazy. It was just all just positive, man. Like it was people just want to see you happy. I mean, people want to see
High
you happy.
five every like five
High
seconds
five and you're jumping, like
and for
there's a
12.
lot of like that kumbaya shit too, just fucking like
Well, woo woo, but it's work, but it's
yeah,
scientifically backed.
yes, yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, everything's scientifically backed. And like,
yeah,
what would you say if someone wanted to personally invest? Because like there's just so much that goes on at UPW that is
yeah,
like hard to explain to people, without
sure.
them having like to experience it themselves. Obviously the impact is there. You and I both experienced that. But what
Yeah,
would you say to people that, like getting more to the health side? We talked about, your wealth peaks and whatnot. We'll get into your health peaks that you have and happiness peaks, but like what would you say to someone that is looking to better themselves, doesn't know where to go, and maybe a little bit hesitant to spend money on that, like investing in themselves?
yeah.
Like
I
like
mean,
what was your experience in that? What would you say to someone struggling with that?
yeah, this will bring me to like a Jim Rohnism too, you know,
Mm,
who was Tony Robbins' mentor. So it's all coming together here. It's all good.
critical moment.
It's
We
it's
love it.
all coming together. I mean, I like that's definitely I would say that's the best investment that you can make, at least start as in yourself, um, because the better that you get, the better that you attract, like the more that you attract into your life. And like we're a sponge, like our brains are so powerful and our brains are like supercomputers. And like whatever input you give your brain, you're going to get some form of output with similar things. So if you get really good information into your brain, like you're gonna see that on like your external world, and it's so worth it. Invest in yourself. Go to conferences. Invest in that mastermind. Um, and pay money. It's like cutting a check for speed. Dean Graziosi will say, like, cut a check for speed and like get somewhere faster because you get into a room and get into rooms where like you are not the smartest person in the room type of thing, like where you're a big fish in a fucking ocean rather than a big fish in a small pond. Like that makes a really big difference. Um, and just your conversations will elevate, and like your circumstances can definitely change when you put yourself and you create those circumstances by doing something that's outside of your comfort zone, by like investing money in yourself maybe. And but yeah, I think like the first conference I ever went to was like maybe SC2. Like that was like the first, which is like a summer sales conference for Cutco. Like that's how I got started on
$80, an $80
yeah,
personal development session with some recognition. And
that's it.
if you sell one knife, you
You
get
go
a
for free.
you also
Yeah.
get a $300 something knife just to show up. It's almost like silly to not show up to this because you got Dan Cassetta there if you're in the Western region typically, and Dan's like the go
Yeah.
as well. And one thing I heard Dan say a lot, which I think he got from Jim Rohn, was your success seldom out competes your level of personal development.
Yeah. It's like your income will seldom exceed your level of personal development.
Yeah, exceed. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so
And
it's important to invest in yourself.
yeah. And it's, man, that's huge, you know? But it's a big it's just it's a small step, but it's also like a really big one. It's a simple one. Even just like listening to a podcast, man. Like you don't have to pay shit either.
Yeah.
Like you can just listen to podcasts and just learn and just feed your brain, and it's feed your brain, just see what happens, instead of listening to that same playlist that you listen to all the time, like you should listen to a different podcast and just learn and grow and just see how you feel afterwards.
Especially if
And
anyone's got a long drive or, I listen to podcasts in the shower.
turn on the mountain, man. Just turn on the mountain and just drive, you
This
know?
last 30, this whole podcast, amazing information and amazing growth and just some good nuggets that you were spilling out there, man. But especially in this last like 30-45 minute span, I feel like you've just been dropping some heat. And so I know we've been on for a while, and so I just want to end with like this last question. Where are you going from here? Like what's the next 3 to 5 years look like for Jeremy Blough up that mountain?
Forward, you know. I'd say just forward, and step by step, I'm just gonna take the next step, and where I end up being, I would say just moving forward with the right intentions and
Hmm.
moving forward with integrity and focus on my life and my family, and moving forward with good intentions, man, and putting good out in the world. Like I'm just gonna get where I'm gonna be. And I know if I do things the right way, like kind of wrapping back up with my grandfather, is like I operate with integrity, I operate with character, good character, and I'm a good man, and I treat people well, I treat people with respect, and I continue with my goals and the vision that I have for my future, then like I'm gonna be happy with where I'm gonna end up, because the plot will change, so I don't want to like put too much pressure on like what the plot's supposed to look like, but I'm going to get where I'm going, and I like have faith in my future, and I'm still young, I'm 25 now, I'm still young, and I have like my whole life ahead of me, and I want to make sure that I can look back as I'm going up the mountain, look back and like being really proud that I did it the right way, you
Mm.
know, treating people with respect, integrity, and not changing who I am for anybody else. Like that's what really matters for me, I feel, because that's what I've learned in my life. So I feel like that's it. You know, Cutco in the future too, like that same thing. Cutco, not like I don't know. I'll be 25 now. I'm 25. I'm super young, but as long as I'm doing it the right way, I feel like that's what matters for me the most.
Yeah, I feel like you just continuing that path. I mean, everything's gonna just play out as it should, exactly as it should. And yeah, we don't even know what's gonna happen tomorrow, right? Like that's what a lot of people get caught up in. You know, get caught up in planning things to go a certain way every single time. Like, I want this day to look like that day. It's like at the end of the day, the only thing that exists is now.
Yeah.
So if we're too caught up in what's happening tomorrow or what's happening the day before, yes, it's important to plan, but you should have intentional time to plan that is specifically made for planning so that when you're not planning, you can be present. You should, and then
Yeah.
you can also be present in your planning. Like, I'm sure a lot of people have done that when they're like trying to create plans without even having a damn calendar in front of them.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Like, how are you gonna even, like, you can't write anything down, you know? And it's like now we're like not being present with this moment. We are trying to plan the next week or month or whatever that looks like, and we don't even know what we're saying because we
Yeah.
have no, we can't document this. And so, yeah, I mean, you're doing a great job, Jeremy. Where can people find you if they want to follow you on the interwebs or the socials?
On the interweb. Yeah, on the interwebs. Yeah, I have Instagram. It's at Jeremy.Blough. So just my first and last name with a period in the middle.
You see it
Uh,
right there
well,
in his
Jeremy
corner of the
dot
Zoom. Jeremy.
Blau. Jeremy.Blough. Yeah, I mean that's basically it. I really just have Instagram. You can find me on Facebook too. I have LinkedIn. You can follow me on LinkedIn. Uh, I got LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't have X. I don't got X. I don't got Threads either.
I'm not an extra threads kind of guy.
I'm not an X. Yeah, I'm not an
Yeah,
extra Threads kind of guy.
I'm already on my phone too much with like now launching this podcast and wanting to just like advertise it a lot and just like get it out there as much as possible. I already find myself on my phone a lot, and
Yeah,
I don't need another reason to be on my phone.
yeah. I'm not on TikTok. I'm not on TikTok either.
No TikTok here. So,
Sometimes I find myself just in the doom scroll of Instagram, and
oh man,
I'm
it's
just
deadly.
stuck in text.
So if you do get stuck, if you are somebody that finds yourself getting stuck on the doom scroll, you know, snap out of that. You know, the algorithms know what you're looking for. Go follow Jeremy. Go, you know, I
Yeah,
think there's a Mountain Podcast Instagram page with like highlights of each guest that I have. So I don't have my personal one like flooded with podcast stuff. But you know, we'll see what that develops like in the future.
yeah,
Follow me on Instagram, follow the podcast, CLP at CLP_man on Instagram. Like and subscribe to our channel on YouTube. It's called The Mountain and The Mountain Podcast. And we're also on Apple Podcasts. So go and give us 5 stars, write a review. Every 5-star review that we get gets us up there on the channel. And there's other podcasts that are called that have The Mountain in the name, if you could believe it. Right. I'm very original. And so if you want this podcast to be supported and stand out, like interact with it, get it views, send it to someone that you think would get a lot of value from this so that we can like slowly pass up those other podcasts that are also named The Mountain that kind of bury our videos because, you know, they're not talking about the stuff that we are and what we're talking about matters. So thank you, Jeremy Blough. I love you, brother.
I love you too, man. Thanks. Thanks. I love what you're doing here, man. I'm proud of you, man. This is dope. This is cool. And by the way, this is another first for me this year. I've never been on a podcast before, so thanks for giving me
Let's
this.
go. Let's go. First podcast for Jeremy.
Smash that like button. Smash that like button. Click subscribe. 5 stars. I've always wanted to say that.
Yeah.
Smash that like button.
Comment below. You know, what's your best takeaway from this? So I
Yeah.
love you all. Keep making a good change in the world and climb on.